Welcome to Love Lies Chronicles.
Support the channel by liking, commenting, and subscribing. I promise even more interesting stories. You'd think that after 8 years of marriage, you'd have a pretty good read on someone. But no matter how much time passes, how many mornings you wake up next to them, or how many shared dinners get washed down with quiet routines, there's always that sliver of them you never quite see until it decides to show itself. For me, it came in a way I never expected. It was a Tuesday evening. I remember because I was late getting home, thanks to some tech issue at the office. My tie was half undone, collar open, sleeves rolled past my elbows by the time I stepped through the door. Our place was silent, too silent, like it had been paused mid-scene. No aroma of dinner. No soft music like she used to play when she was working late from the dining table. Just her, sitting on the couch, legs crossed tightly like a coiled spring, wearing that new silk blouse I hadn't seen before and makeup a little too heavy for a night in. "I need to talk to you," she said flatly, like she was reading a headline. My mind raced. Maybe something happened at work. Maybe her mom was sick again. Maybe. But no, I should have known. This wasn't a crisis. This was a confession. She didn't stand, didn't smile, didn't even look at me for more than a few seconds before locking her eyes back on the untouched wine glass on the table. "There's an opportunity at work," she said slowly, "and I'm considering taking it. But I need to be honest with you about what it means." I waited, still standing in the doorway, briefcase still in my hand. "It's with my boss. He's offered to mentor me, personally. And if I keep close, there's a fast-track path to the regional director role. Bigger salary, more visibility. But..." She paused, finally looking up. "He wants more than just professional attention." I didn't move, didn't blink. It was like my brain had refused to translate the sentence. She continued, "Before you react, just understand, it's not emotional. It's a career move. I'm not leaving you. I'm not cheating in the way you think. I just need you to either accept it or stay out of it." My heart was pounding so hard, I thought it might drown out her words. But I caught every syllable. Let her sleep with her boss, or pretend not to know while it happened. That was her version of a partnership. I still didn't say anything. Just dropped the briefcase gently by the door and took a seat across from her. She flinched slightly, like she expected yelling, or maybe even tears. But I was too numb for that. "You're serious?" I asked. "I'm being practical," she replied, as if that made it better. "You've seen how slow promotions are in this industry. I busted my ass for 6 years under this company and never made it past middle management. He's offering a shortcut, and he's not forcing anything. I'm making the choice." I stared at her. The woman I married. The one who once said she couldn't imagine life without me. Now casually explaining how she planned to barter her body for boardroom status. "And you thought I'd be okay with this," I said, more observation than question. "I thought you'd understand what it means for us. Financially. Long term. I thought you respected my ambition." Her voice was tight, defensive. "Ambition. That's what we were calling it now. I figured I'd give you the choice," she added with an unearned sense of generosity. "You can accept it, or you can pretend not to know." My silence didn't sit well with her. "You don't have to say anything now," she said. "But I'm not going to apologize for seeing an opportunity and taking it. We both benefit. Both benefit." She actually said that, like I was a shareholder in her affair. I didn't respond, not directly. I stood up slowly, walked over to the kitchen, poured myself a glass of water, and stared at the darkened window above the sink. My hands trembled, but I kept my face neutral. Behind me, I could feel her watching, waiting for some kind of approval. Maybe a sigh, a nod, a helpless agreement. She didn't get any of it. Just a calm voice as I set my glass down and said, "You always did think too small." She tilted her head. "What's that supposed to mean?" I didn't answer. I didn't need to, because at that moment, something shifted in me. Something final. She thought she gave me 2 choices, but she never expected I'd pick the third one. And that's when the plan started forming quietly, precisely. She wouldn't see it coming, but he would feel it first. I didn't confront her again that night. Didn't yell, didn't question, didn't do anything to make her feel like I was planning something. And that's exactly how I needed her to feel, like I was folding, slowly, silently. I'd seen that look on her face before, but never in this context. That quiet satisfaction. That smug tilt of the head. Like she thought she'd won something. She went to bed without another word. Left her wine half full. It was the kind of silence that used to mean she was angry or sad. But this time it felt like victory. Her kind of victory. I stayed on the couch that night, just thinking. It wasn't just that she wanted to sleep with her boss. It was that she felt entitled to it. That she could present it to me like some twisted negotiation and walk away feeling morally superior. The calculation behind it, that's what did it. I spent the next morning acting like nothing had changed. She was in the kitchen in a robe, humming while scrolling her phone. I made coffee, handed her a cup. She gave me this sideways glance, like she was still testing the waters, expecting me to implode at any second. But I didn't. I smiled, kissed her cheek. The way her eyebrows lifted just slightly, that was the moment she let her guard down. The game had begun. That afternoon, while she was in a strategy meeting that I knew damn well was a cover, I took her laptop from her desk. Not to snoop, just to look. To get a feel for her tone with him, the kind of things she was willing to write down. Password was the same as it had always been. I didn't even have to guess. It didn't take long. There was a folder tucked away under a professional-sounding name. Q4 Planning. Inside? Screenshots. Emails. Photos. Messages she hadn't deleted, maybe because she didn't feel the need to hide them anymore. Some were harmless. Late-night back-and-forths about clients. But then it shifted. A message from him. Next time, don't wear that perfume unless you want me to lose control again. And her reply. Maybe I do. Next time, don't hold back. I scrolled down. There were plans. Hotel reservations masked as out-of-town conferences. Receipt confirmations forwarded to her private email. This wasn't a consideration. It had already started. The idea that she was coming to me out of honesty was laughable. She was just tying up loose ends. Making herself feel better. Securing her alibi. I didn't print anything. I didn't screenshot. I knew better. This wasn't about courtrooms. This was about leverage. About waiting for the moment they felt safest, most untouchable, and then ripping that comfort out from underneath them. Later that evening, she walked through the door dressed like she was coming from a red carpet, not a meeting. I raised an eyebrow. How was the strategy session? She paused, mid-step. Exhausting, she said with a soft smile. But productive. I just nodded. Glad to hear it. I wasn't ready to show my hand. Not yet. I needed more. So I let her feel free. Over the next few days, I gave her everything she expected. I didn't ask questions when she left late. Didn't probe when she showered before bed even though she claimed to have worked 12 hours straight. I even cooked dinner twice, her favorites, no less. She acted grateful, even affectionate. But I saw it for what it was. Guilt disguised as grace. Or maybe pity. She thought I was slipping into quiet acceptance. What she didn't know was that I had already started mapping out everything, his schedule, his family life, his role in the company, the way his reputation balanced on this illusion of professionalism. She had mentioned once, months ago, that his wife was fragile, an artist, isolated, prone to anxiety. I remembered it not because I cared, but because I saw how quickly people like him built walls made of lies and assumed they were indestructible. But no one hides forever. On Thursday, I drove by their office around 9 p.m. Her car was there. So was his. Friday morning, I drove by again around 6:30 a.m. Still there. When she got home that day, she claimed to have stayed late wrapping up a proposal for an upcoming pitch. I hope your boss appreciates all the extra hours, I said casually. She smirked. He does. That smirk stayed with me all night. Played over and over like a loop I couldn't shut off. But I wasn't angry anymore. I was ready. That weekend, I made a few calls. Discreet ones. An old friend of mine, Marcus, used to work in digital risk and forensics. We hadn't talked in over a year, but he owed me one, big time. I told him I needed help finding patterns, nothing illegal. Just untraceable. He agreed. By Monday, I had confirmation of 5 separate hotel reservations in the last 3 months. Each billed under his corporate card. Each linked to anonymous guest names, one of which matched the alias she used when she booked us a surprise trip 2 years ago. The pieces weren't just coming together. They were screaming. I didn't need a confrontation. I needed a stage. And I was nearly done building it. The funny thing about people who think they're smart is that they always give you too much room. They assume silence means surrender. That if you're not yelling, storming out, or packing your bags, you're weak. Submissive. They thrive on the illusion that they're the ones in charge. That illusion is what I let them drown in. She thought she had time. He thought I was irrelevant. They both underestimated how quiet I could be while I moved the ground out from under them. The next move had to be clean. Public, but not dramatic. Personal, but not petty. I wasn't going to sabotage her. I was going to remove the floorboards she danced on until she fell through on her own. It started with an email. To his wife. Simple. Untraceable. No threats, no accusations. Just 3 photos attached and a line of text. You deserve to know who you're sharing a bed with. Each photo was dated, time-stamped, and pulled directly from her Q4 planning folder. One of them was from outside the lobby of the Marital Hotel. He had his hand on her lower back. Her smile wasn't professional. The others were worse. Not explicit, but intimate. Intimate enough that if my wife ever saw a photo like that of me, there wouldn't have been a discussion, just a blood trail. I didn't stop there. I contacted HR. Not to complain. Not even to expose them, yet. Just to ask a few questions, hypothetically, about company policy on managerial relationships and whether personal misconduct on company time affected eligibility for upper management roles. The woman I spoke to was chipper. Curious. I told her I'd call back. Because the real strike was still coming. Monday night, she came home glowing. Said she'd nailed a key strategy session and was in line for the next big presentation, one that came with direct exposure to the senior board. She said it with that breathless excitement she used to have when we were building our first home. But now it sounded like it belonged to someone else. Someone greedy and drunk on leverage. She even leaned in and kissed my cheek. I told you we'd benefit from this, she whispered. That was the moment I knew she believed it all. That I had rolled over. That I had given in, nodded politely, and swallowed it down in the name of progress. That made what happened next even more satisfying. I waited until Thursday. Her big day. Presentation morning. She had ironed her blouse the night before, practiced in front of the mirror, even played music in the bathroom while she got ready, a song she used to hum when we were happy. She didn't notice I was already dressed when she came down for coffee. You're up early, she said. Got a meeting of my own, I replied, sipping from a travel mug. She didn't ask more. Why would she? She had her day. Her victory. Her promotion dangling like a medal she hadn't earned but fully expected to receive. She left around 8:15. I left 10 minutes later, after sliding a sealed envelope into her laptop bag. Then I drove downtown. The meeting she was attending was at her company's executive tower. I knew the floor. I knew the layout. Marcus had helped me pull an internal map when he found the company's public employee portal. It took him 15 minutes. It took me less than 5 to walk past security because I wasn't there to confront her. I was there to observe. I took the elevator up 1 floor below her meeting. There was a glass balcony in the shared cafe area that overlooked the main boardroom. It was sheer luck, but perfect. From my vantage point, I could see them all gathered. She stood at the far end of the table, pointer in hand, leading her presentation with a firm, confident voice. He sat near the center, arms folded, face smug. That was the moment I checked my watch. She'd be opening her laptop any second now. And sure enough, she froze. I couldn't hear it, but I saw it. Her hand hovered over the keyboard. Her mouth parted just slightly. He leaned in, probably asking a question. Her eyes darted to him. Then back to the screen. Inside that envelope was a printed screenshot of one of their more creative exchanges. Nothing graphic, just suggestive enough to be damaging. Below it was a copy of an anonymous complaint I hadn't yet submitted to HR, but easily could. At the bottom of the page, a single line, written in my handwriting. You wanted this. I'm just giving you what you asked for. The next 10 minutes were chaos. I didn't stick around. I had already seen what I needed, the tension, the confusion, the side glances. One woman stood and whispered something to another. The boss's face turned from amused to strained. He tried to lean over and look at her laptop again. She closed it. And I walked out. I wasn't angry. I wasn't proud. I was focused. Because I wasn't done. At home, I had already packed her bags. Not everything, just enough. Enough to make it clear this wasn't a fight. This was a statement. I left them near the front door. When she walked in that night, makeup smudged, blouse wrinkled, a tremor in her voice as she said my name, I didn't bother standing up. I picked option 3, I said quietly. What does that mean? It means, I replied, you should grab your things. Her mouth opened, then closed. She saw the bags. You don't understand, she started. But I just sipped my tea. No, I understand. Perfectly. And I meant it. She didn't leave right away. She stood by the door, staring at the bags like they'd appeared out of nowhere. I could see her trying to decide whether to beg, rage, or lie. What did you do? She finally asked. There it was. Not why I did it. Not how could you. But what did you do because she knew. She knew the illusion was gone. I didn't answer. She stepped forward, voice wobbling. Whatever you think happened, this is going too far. I actually smiled at that. You mean sleeping with your boss to skip the ladder? That wasn't too far. That's not what it was, she said quickly, already on defense. You're twisting things. No, I said. You are. Or you were. But the show's over. I could tell she still didn't know how much damage had already been done. So I gave her a little preview. HR has a file with both your names now, I said calmly. I made sure it didn't come from me, but that doesn't matter anymore. Someone's already following up. Her face paled. And your little motivational partner? I leaned back in my chair. I sent his wife some vacation photos. I'm sure she'll appreciate the lighting in the hotel lobby. That hit hard. She blinked fast, like the facts might disappear if she could just stay still long enough. Do you have any idea what you've done to my career? She asked, voice sharp now, desperate. I gave it what it deserved, I said. You could have just left, she snapped. You didn't have to burn everything down. Oh, I didn't burn anything, I replied, standing. You poured the gasoline. I just lit the match you were already holding. She opened her mouth again, but this time there were no words. Just that look, the one people wear when they finally realize they've run out of script. You can stay with your sister, I said, walking past her. Or him. Oh, wait, maybe not him anymore. That was the last thing I said before I walked out the front door and left her there, standing in the wreckage she built. Not with tears. Not with rage. Just empty. And that was perfect. Because what came next? That wasn't even the climax. By the end of the week, word had spread. The complaint I hypothetically discussed with HR? Someone filed it. Maybe another coworker who had suspicions. Maybe his wife. Maybe it was the anonymous tip I accidentally left behind on purpose. Doesn't matter. He was asked to step down, pending internal review. She was asked to take paid leave, pending clarification of her role in the matter. But the real kicker? The board had already begun evaluating candidates for the position she thought she was guaranteed. One of them? A woman she openly mocked in a Slack message 2 weeks earlier. That message? Forwarded. Anonymously. By a helpful coworker. The best part wasn't watching her career implode. It was watching the look on her face when she realized she wasn't even his only one. Turns out, the boss had another mentee. Younger. Hungrier. Less demanding. She found out through a text meant for someone else that lit up her phone at 2 a.m. I didn't send it. But I did make sure the phone bill, with all its itemized numbers, landed on her desk. That's when the calls started. The crying ones. The apologetic ones. I made a mistake. I got caught up in something. I thought you didn't care anymore. Every one of them sat unread in my inbox. Every voicemail deleted. Because this wasn't a misunderstanding. This wasn't a misstep. It was a decision, repeated and rehearsed until it felt normal to her. And now? She was living with it. Her friends didn't know what to say. Some of them tried reaching out to me. Others ghosted her completely. Professional reputation? In tatters. His wife? Filed for divorce and publicly humiliated him in court. That smug grin he wore the last time I saw him? Long gone. He left the company voluntarily. She called it a smear campaign. The company called it a breach of ethics. His next job offer? Vaporized after a quick background search. And me? I was still here. Still standing. Still calm. The house was mine. I'd paid for most of it anyway. The lawyers had already prepped the papers. The judge didn't take long to sign off. Irreconcilable differences never sounded so appropriate. But the most satisfying part? I never raised my voice. Never needed to threaten, blackmail, or destroy anything. I just made sure truth had a clear path. And I got out of the way. That was all it took. It's been 6 months. Long enough for the smoke to clear. For the silence to settle. For the phone to finally stop lighting up with her name. She moved out of state, I heard. Went to stay with a cousin somewhere she could start over without being whispered about at every supermarket and networking brunch. Her boss, ex-boss, is apparently consulting now. No company would touch him after the ethics board recommendation. His wife took the house, the car, and just enough of his soul to leave him breathing but hollow. I didn't celebrate. I didn't toast anything. I didn't tell anyone what I did, not even Marcus. I just let it happen. Quiet wins feel different. They don't thrill you. They settle into your bones. They whisper, you did it the right way. People ask me if I regret it. If I'd go back and try to forgive, maybe rebuild. I don't even flinch when I answer, not for a second. She didn't just cross a line. She redrew the map without me. And now I'm walking a different path, one that's mine again. She wanted 2 choices. I gave her the third. And I never looked back. But there was another path I could have taken. I've often imagined what would have happened if I'd stayed quiet. If I'd swallowed my pride, let her do what she wanted in the name of ambition, and told myself I was being mature, evolved. I could see it all. She keeps going. Late nights. Networking trips. Whispers and lipstick on receipts she hides but doesn't bother deleting. I sleep beside her, each night feeling more like a roommate, less like a man. I stop looking at her the same. Stop touching her. Stop speaking at all, except when I need to. We become a postcard family, polite in public, hollow behind the front door. She thinks she's getting away with it. I think I'm keeping the peace. But inside, I'm disappearing. I imagine I'd still be in that house right now, staring at a woman who'd sold off her dignity for power, while I traded mine for silence. I don't like that version of me. And sometimes I wonder if I'd taken a different third option entirely. The night she made her little ultimatum, what if I'd snapped? What if I drove straight to that restaurant where they liked to meet casually and waited for him in the parking lot? No planning. No silence. Just rage. What if I grabbed him by that smug collar and asked how it felt to steal something that wasn't his? Maybe I would have landed a punch. Or 3. Maybe security would have pulled me off him while she screamed and lied and tried to play peacemaker. Maybe I would have been arrested. Maybe sued. Maybe fired. And maybe he'd win anyway. File a restraining order. Make me the villain. She'd run to him then, not out of love, but to preserve the illusion. And me? I'd be the bitter ex-husband who couldn't control his temper. A walking cautionary tale. I'd have my dignity in a jail cell. He'd have her in his bed. That's the thing about anger. It burns bright, but it burns fast. And I'm not interested in flames. I'm interested in fireproofing. So I did it my way. And now? She sleeps in someone else's bed. He wakes up to a different kind of silence. And me? I rest easy. Because I chose option 3. And I meant it.
Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comments, and do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel.